Good afternoon. Welcome to the April 7, 2020 Glendale Housing Authority meeting being called to order at 3:05 p.m. May I please have the roll call?
Authority member Brotman,
Here.
Devine,
Here.
Kasakian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Parazian,
Here.
Chair Agajanian.
Present. May I please have your report?
The agenda for the April 7th, 2020 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Wednesday, April 1st, 2020 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
What's next, please?
4A would be approval of minutes. A would be minutes of the Regional Housing Authority meeting of March 24, 2020.
I'll move for A. Second. Divine.
Okay. Hearing no objection, the minute stands approved as submitted. What's next, please?
5 would be oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
So do we have any
There are
call? No, I don't have any calls. At this moment, if somebody can call quick, you can be connected and we will hear you. This is the oral communication, but I don't see anybody is not calling. So oral communication is closed. What's next, please?
6 would be business agenda. 6A, community development regarding approval of Section 8, public housing, agency 5 years, fiscal year 2020-2025, the annual plan fiscal year 2020-2021, one resolution adopting and authorizing the submission of the public housing agency 5-year and annual plan for fiscal year 2020 and 2021.
Yes, Chair Agajanian, members of the Housing Authority. We have Veronica Velarde here with us, who's our housing analyst, and she will take you through this plan that is before you and provide you with any responses to any questions you may have. Ms. Velarde.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Housing Authority Chairperson Agajanian, Housing Authority members, and city staff. My name is Veronica Velarde. I am a housing analyst with the Housing Division. Today we are holding a public hearing for the Section 8 PHA 5-year plan for fiscal year 2020-2025 and annual plan for fiscal year 2020-2021. The Department of Housing and Urban Development requires each public housing agency submit a Section 8 public housing agency annual plan. This year, in addition, our agency is also submitting a 5-year plan. The purpose of an annual PHA plan is to provide information and updates of the agency's policies, rules, and requirements. It also provides a progress report to HUD, Section 8 participants and applicants regarding the agency's operations, programs, and its missions and goals. Now, this year, we are also submitting a 5-year plan. And this 5-year plan is meant to be a planning tool with the agency's goals and objectives listed for the next 5 years. Our agency would then provide a progress report on those goals and objectives in the annual plan. Since our agency has been rated a high-performing agency by HUD, our agency is eligible to submit a streamlined plan. As required by HUD, staff met with the Resident Advisory Board on February 25th of this year to review both plans and obtain comments. Those comments will be submitted to HUD and are also included in the staff report. In conclusion, our staff is recommending that the Housing Authority adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of the Section 8 Public Housing Agency 5-year plan for 2020-2025 and annual plan for fiscal year 2020-2021 to HUD. That concludes my presentations. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any question from
I have a question. This is Laura Parazian. Hi, Ms. Velarde. So may we know the number of applicants on waiting list, Section 8 waiting list?
Yes. Currently, the Housing Authority has about 2,200 people on the waiting list.
Oh, okay. That's all. Thank you.
Of course, they have been on the list for a long time, since 2001.
Correct.
Is not something. Okay. Can I ask, what's the budget which is allocated to Glendale and how many vouchers we are offering?
Glendale is authorized for 1,592 vouchers. And the budget for the Glendale vouchers is located on page 2 of your annual plan. And that is estimated to be about 21 million.
Okay. And how many are transferred from other cities to our city?
Currently, we have about 1,398 portable vouchers. Portable vouchers are vouchers that are transferred from different agencies. And the budget for that is about 17.8 million.
Okay. So in total, we have, how many people are using the vouchers in Glendale?
Currently, our current numbers, let me get that number for you. Currently, we have 1,337 Glendale vouchers leased, and we have 1,398 vouchers, which are called portable vouchers, which belong to other agencies, and we bill monthly.
So that's 2,735 all both together, apparently.
Together, yes.
Okay. So do we encourage others to transfer to our city their vouchers?
Well, one of the great things about having a voucher is the portability aspect. If you hold a voucher, you are able to port to any other agency, whether it's in-state, upstate, or to the East Coast, anywhere, as long as that agency has its own Section 8 program.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Yes, please.
we also encourage people to get on other lists that may
That's right.
turn over sooner, because while we have a lot of people porting to Glendale, we could have Glendale residents leave the city, go to another city, get a voucher. They too would be able to port back to Glendale. So we do encourage them to go and try and get on as many waiting lists as they possibly can, rather than wait for one here in the city of Glendale.
That's why, that's the reason I'm asking, because I know lots of people, they ask me, they call me, or before they were coming and seeing me and asking me that you don't have to wait for Section 8 vouchers around here. Since 2001 is closed, so the chance of getting voucher in our city is very remote or very hard to get the voucher. But I know lots of people who went to Los Angeles, they received the voucher and then they transferred it to our city. So this is a big opportunity because Los Angeles on regular basis is offering the vouchers to the residents of Los Angeles. So you can do that for a very brief time. You can leave Glendale and come back. To just wait for Glendale voucher may take a long time. That's just a suggestion, of course. Thank you. Okay.
Chair Agajanian,
Yes.
this is Artie Kasakian. I have a question,
Yes, please.
if I may.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzafame, thank you for this report. Thank you, Veronica. On average, can you give me a number as to what the percentage of movement is on our list of Section 8 vouchers?
Good afternoon, Artie. Currently, before this whole pandemic started, our agency was ready to pull about between 50 and 80 people off the waiting list. That is still something we are planning to do. We are doing the prep work, which means going through the list and assigning people to a housing advisor. So when staff goes back in the office, we'll be able to meet with those families.
So, I'm sorry, again, you said between 50 to 80? I'm sorry, the connection isn't the greatest, so.
Yeah, so we are planning to pull about 100 people off the waiting list.
Okay. And an average number annually, or is that just
Annually.
unique for this year?
Annually, we've done something less. Some years, we haven't had any movement, but it's closer to 50 on an annual basis, 35 to 50. on an annual basis. This, we found an opportunity with some availability in our budget and with our vouchers, that we were looking at that number this year.
And in talking about the transfers and how other cities have, or however they handle their vouchers, do we know if the percentage of movement or the amount of movement on our list tracks better or worse or average to other cities?
That would be hard to tell because we just don't know what other agencies, how often they're pulling from their waiting list.
Is there a way to find out?
We could survey our other agencies and see. We all have different numbers of vouchers, but just my gut tells me that Glendale tends to stay longer and is not quite as transient. But we'll call our other agencies, our colleagues, and see if we can get that information.
Yeah, but besides the raw number, I'd be interested in the actual average. The other question I have is regarding this report. It's a 5-year plan, and it's going to set our Section 8 program for housing priorities for the near foreseeable future. And again, I want to thank staff for their hard work, but I'm curious as to whether staff placed an inquiry to HUD to see if there could be granted an extension for the public comment or public hearing period, given our national situation right now with this virus pandemic. I think it's only fair to see if we could extend that public comment period, even if maybe not allow people comment. Was such a request made by staff? Do we know? Can you tell me?
We did not make that request. We did conduct our public meeting with our advisory group back in February. We can certainly ask if the Housing Authority thinks there's more public comment to be made on it. We can ask for an extension.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Dan Brotman. Can I ask a couple questions, make
Please,
a comment?
go ahead. We are listening.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I should start just by saying I got a briefing yesterday from staff. I wanted to thank everyone for that. This is a new subject for me, but it sounds from what I heard that staff is doing everything they can given the limited budget from HUD. And it is impressive that we're seeing so many vouchers come in to Glendale from, I guess, I understand mostly LA city and county. One of the things, and I didn't realize that an individual could apply to be on the waiting list in multiple locations simultaneously. Can you just clarify that that's true? And if it is, are there locations you know of where people are getting vouchers more quickly? Because I understand here the people on our waiting list have been on since 2001. So are the circumstances different anywhere else? And if so, why would they be different?
If I may, this is Peter Zovek, the Assistant Director of Community Development for Housing, if I can answer that.
Yes, please, so, Peter.
There are other agencies that, depending upon when they set up their wait lists and their turnover and how many they initially accepted on the waiting list, that have opened up their lists over time. Once we are notified of an agency in LA County that is reopening their waiting list, we do notify people on our Section 8 waiting list of that opportunity. We send them flyers of the opening. Typically, though, when there's an opening in another agency, much like when Glendale opened in 2001, their waiting list, there are preferences that agencies establish. More often than not, there is a local preference that is provided. So while people from Glendale can apply on a Section 8 opening in another agency, they will be subject to that agency's wait list preferences, which typically look to serve their residents first and then non-residents second. So there is some lag time. It's not immediate that they would be expected to be served or be issued a Section 8 voucher.
Do we know, this is Dan again, do we know of any instances where Glendale residents have actually been able to go into other agencies and get vouchers?
Yes.
Sure. There's a large number of Glendale residents that, as we said, poured in from Glendale, or poured in from the city of Los Angeles. A good number of them were already living in Glendale when their name was called off the Los Angeles list, and then did the necessary paperwork to allow them to port into Glendale with their LA voucher.
I see. Okay.
So it does happen.
1,300 of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Ara. I have a question.
Yes, please, Ara.
How many are on the five-pointer list group, if you will?
The last time I checked, I believe that number was approximately a couple hundred, if I'm not mistaken.
Are we seeing any reduction in that list, or do people rate up from the 4-point to the 5-point during a time period?
There are times where people are updating their status of the number of points they're allotted, so we do see fluctuation in that. One day it might be 100 people with a 5-point rating, and there might be a time where 10 people come in and update their statuses, and they all get that 5th point, and that number will increase. So it fluctuates.
Thank you.
I just, maybe Peter can elaborate on this. So when they are applying, husband and wife applying, they don't have more than 4 points. If one of the, family members passes away, the other person gets 5 points. Am I right? You want to elaborate on that, Peter?
Correct. There's a preference point that was established back in 2001 that said single, 62 or over. If it is a married couple and both are elderly, and one happens to pass away, then yes, that person, the remaining person, would be eligible for that additional point and could upgrade their status on the waiting list.
Because they come to me very often and they say that, I was on the list, somebody was behind me, and then this person now is on top of the list and they're complaining. So if the situation changes, so obviously where you stand on the list will change, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there
I have a
more questions? Yes, please.
Are there any rumblings about the impact to funding from the federal government because of the pandemic?
There's some very early discussions about how to possibly address the pandemic with maybe increases in the Section 8 program, but nothing that's gone beyond discussion yet. And whether or not they might set up some type of parallel program that might provide some short-term rental assistance, we're waiting to see that as well.
Oh, that would be for those that might lose their apartments or something after the pandemic is over?
Correct, but not necessarily a Section 8 assistance.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. I have a line here blinking. I don't know. It's too late, I guess, to answer. Am I right?
No.
Not on this item.
Yeah, this is
No?
this is
Okay,
the item.
let's see if it's still on because it's blinking for a long time. You are on the air with city council members and staff. Hello? I guess they. Hello? Hello? Yes, please.
Mr. Agajanian, Housing
Yes.
Authority Chair and members of the Housing Authority. My name is Herbert Milano. And I have a couple of questions because I have been a landlord with tenants on Section 8. I've had up to 2 units on Section 8 for a fairly long time. So I've been on this program since about 2002. And my questions are as follows. Is the constraint that the city has funding or availability in the city of Glendale? And if the availability of funding comes from another city, is the availability constraint the city of Glendale's availability from landlords? Because if it is availability, it is my contention that the city has a significant opportunity now during this downturn in the economy, that there would be many landlords now open to the idea of making apartments available to Section 8. You know, to landlords having vacancies that may last for months under whatever current rates they have. They may find it much more valuable to have these apartments at a lower rate, but on Section 8. So if it is availability the problem, maybe the city can do something significant about that. Because I know I have 2 vacancies right now that could be made available, and I'm assuming that many other landlords are in the same boat.
Thank you. Can we answer? Anybody wants to answer to Mr. Milano's recommendation or
Is he done?
comment?
Is he done with his comments? Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the authority, availability had been an issue for us. We did find some difficulty with this pandemic. We have gotten quite a few landlords that have called us and say they have available units. And in fact, we're able to then put that information out to those that are looking for units and match them up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Chair, I have a few more questions.
Please, go ahead.
So, on this item, I've heard from various individuals from the community about the difficulties they're having in finding units that take Section 8, especially in the current housing market. Is there any data that you can share with us today as to how many Section 8 units have been added in the last year or last 5 years, and how many Section 8 units have come off the market or were taken off?
Do we have that information?
We'll look in a record and put it together
Okay.
for the agency.
I'd like to have that information. Also, the plan states that one of the city's objectives is to, quote, continue to lobby for additional program funding and vouchers in order to alleviate rent burden and provide housing assistance to new participants. My question is to staff as to what that lobbying looks like. How often do the lobbyists work on this specific issue, and how do you track their work?
We do a lot of that directly with our federal legislators, and we can put a report together of those efforts over the years. We have been less than successful or less successful than we would like. I would say that we have recent success in some VASH vouchers. I think the number is 7. Those are for veterans that we've been able to procure and put into our program, as well as 14 vouchers for adult, non-senior, developmentally disabled individuals that are ready to live independently. So while we have not been able to get the general vouchers, and that even extends to asking for the portables to be declared Glendale vouchers. While we've been unsuccessful at that, we have been successful at some of the special programs, like I mentioned, VASH and this other for developmentally disabled. We can put together a history of our lobbying efforts with Washington, D.C. And with HUD.
Yes.
I think that's important information to have before we adopt a 5-year plan. I'd like to know, whether those efforts, besides what you just stated right now, in terms of statistics and the vouchers that the city has had added, whether that has come at the best efforts of staff, or whether our lobbyists are actually the ones doing this and making it one of their priorities. For me, that's important to know. I think just saying that we're going to lobby, I'd like to know some more specifics as to what that lobbying is going to look like.
I would add that in addition to efforts we have made to seek additional vouchers, a lot of the lobbying efforts as of late through both a number of national associations that we belong to, as well as speaking to our federal legislators, has been not to cut the Section 8 program, to the degree that they've been proposing over the years. So we're looking at not only asking for additional vouchers, but preserving existing funding or trying to minimize the cuts that are made to the program as well. So it's a multi-tiered effort.
Thank you.
And then my last question is regarding this residential advisory board. This body, the Housing Authority, has been short member for quite some time now. Of all the names I read in this residential advisory board meeting, was there not one person on that board that could be considered for filling the vacancy on this Housing Authority?
We were trying and we had a hard time because they have to be part of Section 8 program.
Yeah, and
I mean,
and
that makes it, yes, please.
the resident advisory members are Section 8 participants, and maybe Peter can cover what we've done in terms of getting information out to the Section 8 community to see what the interest was, and if we also contacted the advisory board.
Correct. There were we've made numerous attempts to recruit a 7th Housing Authority member. That would be the 2nd Housing Authority Tenant Commissioner. I believe 4 or 5 times we've made announcements and have sent materials out to everyone on our Section 8 program, informing them of the opportunity to apply. It's been a very difficult recruitment. The Housing Authority chair as well as the mayor have conducted a number of interviews with possible candidates, and they've not come to a selection of a candidate yet. There's a big difference between someone serving on the Resident Advisory Board versus someone serving as a Housing Authority member. The Resident Advisory Board typically meets once a year, whereas the commitment necessary to serve on the Housing Authority is every Tuesday, with additional time for reading staff reports. There are a lot of folks that we have seen and talked with who've expressed some interest in the program or in the opportunity to serve on the Housing Authority, but once looking at the level of the time commitment, have chosen not to apply.
And the individuals on this residential advisory board were made aware of the possibility to serve on the housing advisory?
All members of, all Section 8 household members, both Glendale vouchers and the ports. So that's the 1337 number that was quoted earlier in addition to the 1398. They were all made aware multiple times of this opportunity to apply for the Housing Authority position.
Chair Agajanian?
Yes,
may
please.
I add a comment?
Yes, please, Councilmember Devon.
About a month ago, I questioned whether we could open this up to non-Section 8 residents and was told that this is in the charter. And if we wanted to do that, we would have to change the charter. Am I correct?
Mr. Chair, members of the authority, this is Mike Garcia, City Attorney. No, it wasn't a charter requirement. There was some state law and federal law requirements that required tenant commissioners. And actually, we were in the process of following up with HUD to get their take on some of the federal regulations, and we just had a call last week with them to confirm, and it does look like we'll be able to broaden the membership for at least one of the tenant commissioners. One tenant commissioner will have to be a Section 8 participant, but we might have some additional discretion on that 7th member. So as early as we can put together a report for the Housing Authority, well, really for the council and the Housing Authority, we'll do that to present some options to you.
Oh, well, that's good news. That's good news. Thank you for checking on that.
Thank you.
And I have a follow-up question
Please.
to what I asked earlier, Mr. Chair, and please, I apologize, and
No problem.
please indulge me. So, Mr. Zovak, I understand that all the recipients of the Section 8 vouchers or participants in the program have been informed. What does that process look like when you say they were informed or they've been made aware? How so?
We sent letters in multiple languages to the household members, letting them know of the opportunity to apply for the position. We've hosted workshops where we've taken those that were interested and hosted meetings where we have shown them the level of work that's involved. At that workshop, we will show them a clip of a Housing Authority meeting. We will provide them a sample packet to go through and walk them through that. We would talk to them about the important decision-making process that would be going through, and then we give them information about the application process.
And
We try and give them.
how many people actually responded to that second phase of the process after the letter was sent out?
I would say that each time we've done the recruitment effort, we've probably had about less than 10 people then come to a workshop to find out more information about it.
And how many times have you done those workshops?
I would say about 4 or 5 recruitments is what we've done since our last vacancy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have to mention, I've been Housing Authority Chair for past 2 years. This is the second term I've been the chairman. And the first year, along with Councilmember Sinanian, we tried to interview a few people. We couldn't find somebody who would commit himself or herself to come every Tuesday, or they had some other engagements. And then I tried again with Mayor Najarian since past year, and we were having a hard time because we were not allowed to invite anybody outside Section 8 vouchers, those who had the vouchers. I think that made it very difficult because every time 3 or 4 people, they came forward, and there were problems, like they didn't have time for certain to get involved with this and come to the meetings, or there were other problems, which is hard to explain in here, that they would not qualify for the position. So as far as I'm concerned, I had real hard time to pick up somebody or to say this person is the right person to come and sit here along with us and decides what we have to do. Is there any more questions? Thank you. Yes,
This
go
is,
ahead.
wait, Mr. Chair, this is Dan Brotman.
Yes.
I just had a comment, really, and this is something I did already discuss with staff, and the caveat is I'm not that familiar with how this process works. But when I read the progress report, what I see is a lot of what we did, not what outcomes we achieved. And when I look at the 5-year plan, I see the same. I see a lot of very generic what we are going to do, not what outcomes do we expect. And you know how it is, if something is not measurable, it's really hard to say how we've done. So it may be impossible given the circumstances. I'm sure it's very challenging, but I just want to put out there the idea that anything like this really should be more about outcomes, and they should be as measurable as possible.
All right. Thank you. Okay, now, Mr. City Attorney, I'm asking to, are we voting on this? Yes. Is
Yeah.
there,
We need a motion.
anybody wants to make a motion on this item?
Is this a public
Item
hearing?
6A?
This is Divine.
So just,
The item.
Mr. Chair
Yes.
and fellow authority members, before we vote on this, Mr. Lanzapane, you said that the Housing Authority could have, or if we want an extension for the public to comment on this or to know more about this, given the current situation of the pandemic, we would have to do it at this meeting?
Well, you would have to instruct us, if that's what you want us to do, to go ask HUD, and then we could report back. The report currently is due April 17th. And so we're asking for approval. That doesn't preclude us from having another meeting or holding community meetings to get input on it. And then I would have to ask staff if we could submit a revised plan after the date.
I would have to check with HUD, but if what Artie's asking is just to have a longer period of time to get comments on this plan, we could check with them this week and report back next Tuesday.
So next Tuesday,
Well, let me
Authority
make a
member.
comment. Are we expecting other comments? This is Aura. I mean, as far as I remember, going back a dozen years, that there hasn't been a lot of comment on this item. And furthermore, the way we similarly run our council meetings, if someone wants to call in, they can call in like Mr. Milano did and make a comment. So I don't want to send staff out trying to ask for something that is not, something the community is asking for. Unless I'm mistaken, I mean, no one has come to me and said, boy, I really wanted to comment and I'm not feeling well or I'm not able to call in or anything like that. But that's just my observation.
Okay. We have
A motion.
motion and seconded by Mayor Najarian. Can I have the roll call, please?
Authority Member Brotman,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Sakian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Parazian,
Yes.
Chair Agajanian.
Yes. Okay. I guess, are there any authority member or staff comments? I guess we did. Is there? Yes.
well, no, not from staff, sir.
Not from staff. How about the council members? Any comments? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
We stand adjourned at 3:32 p.m. Thank you very much.